Something strange happened yesterday, something every football fan needs to hear. Because this time, the spotlight wasn't on touchdowns or highlight reels, it was on pride, power, and one of the fiercest rivalries in the NFL. When two of the league's top defenders, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, went head-to-head, only one came out on top. And trust me, the numbers don't lie. Before we dive into this latest Steelers news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit like, and press the bell icon so you don't miss any breaking updates. Alright, let's get into it. Myles Garrett's comments after the game raised eyebrows everywhere. He hinted that he wasn't getting much help from his teammates, especially when trying to rush the passer. And to be fair, he wasn't completely wrong. The Steelers' protection game was on point. Aaron Rodgers was sharp, getting the ball out fast before Garrett could even blink. And when Garrett tried to break through, guys like Darnell Washington and Jaylen Warren were right there to chip and slow him down. That's not bad defense from Cleveland. That's smart strategy from Pittsburgh. Credit where it's due. Arthur Smith's play calling, Coach Tomlin's preparation, and Broderick Jones' improvement all came together perfectly. The Steelers outcoached, outplanned, and outplayed Garrett's side. And then, of course, there's TJ Watt. The broadcast showed the stat that shut down all debates. What has been better in every single category since both players entered the league? And again yesterday, what proved why he's the real deal? Tackles, pass deflections, even half a sack. He was everywhere. Meanwhile, Garrett? He couldn't make an impact. And it wasn't because he's a bad player. It's because the Steelers knew exactly how to neutralize him. But here's where things got interesting. Garrett later talked about his frustration with the Browns situation, saying it feels like same story, different day. And honestly, that's on him. You can't say you're all about winning a Super Bowl, then sign back with a team that's stuck in the same problems, just because they offered you record-breaking money. At the end of the day, TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett isn't even a debate anymore. One man keeps proving it every single week, and that man wears black and gold. So stay with me, because what's coming next might just surprise you even more. Now let's talk about what every Steelers fan loves to hear, the top 3 stars from that 23-9 victory. It was a full team performance. Offense, defense, and special teams all showing up strong. But 3 players, in particular, stood out above the rest. Let's count them down, from number 3 all the way to the top. This guy is quickly turning heads not just in Pittsburgh, not just in the AFC, but across the entire NFL. Yesterday, he showed exactly why he's being called the 12th starter on defense, and he earned that title. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, a pass deflection, and 4 quarterback hits. That's domination. On any other day, that kind of performance could have made him number 1. But this game had 2 more stars shining just as bright. What we saw was vintage Rodgers. Calm, confident, and absolutely in control. Even when the offensive line had a few rough snaps, he made up for it with smart decisions and lightning-fast releases. No panic, no mistakes, just precision. He threw for over 220 yards, added 2 touchdowns, and didn't turn the ball over once, against one of the toughest defenses in the league. That's the Rodgers effect, the difference maker. And that decision to bring him in instead of sticking with the old options? It's looking better every single week. What a performance. Ramsay looked like the defensive superstar we all remember, confident, physical, and unstoppable. He outshined everyone on that field, even TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. 2 sacks, constant pressure, and the kind of energy that set the tone for the whole defense. It's the kind of game you tell your kids about one day, the time Jalen Ramsay shared the field with Watt and Garrett and walked away as the best defender out there. That's your top 3, Steeler Nation: Herbig, Rodgers, and Ramsay. Each of them stepped up when it mattered most, and together, they turned this game into a statement. Stay with me, because what's coming next takes this story even deeper. Here's what makes Jalen Ramsay's performance even more unbelievable. He wasn't even supposed to play in this game. Coming off that hamstring injury from the Dublin matchup, everyone expected him to sit out at least 2 or 3 weeks. It was a short turnaround, and with a big Thursday night game against the Bengals coming up, nobody, and I mean nobody, thought Ramsay would suit up. But he did. And not only did he show up, he dominated. That kind of move says a lot. It wasn't just about toughness, it was leadership. Ramsay wanted to be there for his teammates, to send a message loud and clear. He's all in for this Steelers season. And when you make that kind of statement, you've got to back it up. He did exactly that. 2 sacks, a tackle for loss, tight coverage all game, and a couple of one-on-one stops that set the tone early. It was vintage Jalen Ramsay, confident, physical, and locked in. Aaron Rodgers even talked about it after the game, and the respect in his words said it all. He mentioned how most players, when they're around 80 or 85% healthy, would rather sit out. They don't want to risk not looking their best. But Ramsay? He didn't care about excuses. He cared about showing up. And he reminded everyone what kind of teammate and competitor he really is. 2 sacks, key tackles, and leadership that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. That's why Ramsay deserves the top spot this week. Now, if we're talking honorable mentions, a few names deserve the spotlight too. Patrick Queen, flying all over the field, easily could have been in the top 3. DK Metcalf brought energy and physicality when it mattered. Darnell Washington, reliable, steady, and crucial in blocking. And of course, Jaylen Warren. Maybe not a huge stat line, but the way he runs, the way he punishes defenders, that's the kind of effort that changes the game's tone. This was a team win, top to bottom, but Ramsay's performance? That was something special. Stay with me, because what's next will make you see just how far this Steelers team can really go. I've got to say this. Patrick Queen deserves a lot more credit than he's getting. Over the last few games, he's been nothing short of outstanding. Remember all that talk early in the season? People questioning his physicality, wondering if the linebacker unit had that signature Steelers toughness? Well, Queen has silenced all of that. He's finally putting it all together. The speed, the athleticism, and now the power. You can feel the confidence when he's out there. He's hitting harder, reading plays faster, and leading like a true Steeler. Even Coach Tomlin mentioned it recently. He said this is the point where everything should start coming together for Patrick Queen. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. He's becoming the kind of linebacker that defines Pittsburgh football: fast, physical, and fearless. Now, let's talk about something else that's starting to become a big topic: the wide receiver situation. Yes, the win over the Browns was impressive, but it also revealed one thing. This offense still needs another weapon. Outside of DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, production has been thin. It's not that the other guys don't have potential. Players like Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skowronek are working hard, but the numbers tell the story. The Steelers need another reliable target, someone who can take pressure off Metcalf and open up the field. And apparently, it's not just fans noticing this. Reports around the league suggest that Pittsburgh's front office is already exploring options before the trade deadline. Big names like Adam Schefter are saying the Steelers are expected to be active, looking for that missing piece in the passing game. Because let's be honest, this team is close. The defense is dominant, Rodgers is steady, and the run game is heating up. But one more wide receiver could turn this from a playoff team into a real contender. Stay with me, because the next part might just reveal who that receiver could be. When it comes to this wide receiver hunt, the message is simple: just get someone. At this point, the name almost doesn't matter. What matters is finding a true playmaker who can give Aaron Rodgers another weapon to work with. Sure, fans can dream, a Jalen Waddle, a Rashid Shaheed, but even a solid, dependable option could make all the difference. And yeah, looking back now, trading away George Pickens still stings a little. You can't help but wonder what if he was still here, lining up opposite DK Metcalf. From a chemistry standpoint, maybe it was the right call. But on the field? Man, imagine Metcalf and Pickens stretching defenses at the same time. That would have been terrifying for opponents. Still, what's done is done, and now it's about finding that next guy to fill the gap. Now, let's talk about something really exciting: Darnell Washington. Because Sunday might have been the game where he finally arrived. He looked like the complete package: blocking, catching, and bringing the kind of physical presence that changes how defenses line up. It wasn't just the stats, it was the impact. Every time he was on the field, he made the Steelers' offense feel tougher, meaner, and more balanced. One fan said it perfectly: when Washington is in the game, defenses expect the run. And that's where the magic happens. Play action to Washington catches everyone off guard. He's become that sixth offensive lineman who can also torch you through the air. You can see why he was such a big deal coming out of Georgia. That blocking ability was elite. But now, he's proving he's more than just a blocker. Give him the ball in space, and he's hard to bring down. Even when defenders hit him, he keeps falling forward, always picking up extra yards, always fighting for more. And when he does find open space, he moves smoother than most tight ends his size have any right to. So maybe it's time to say it out loud. It's Darnell Washington's moment. He's ready to be the guy in that tight end room. Stay with me, because what's coming next could shape the future of this Steelers offense. You can't ignore what Darnell Washington brings to this offense, especially inside the red zone. When you've got a guy who stands 6 feet 8 inches, defenses have to think twice. His presence alone changes how opponents line up. And after what we saw on Sunday, the question has to be asked. Why isn't Darnell Washington our TE1 already? He played the most snaps of any tight end, made every one of them count, helped dominate in the run game, and contributed in the passing attack. He wasn't just blocking, he was impacting. That's what a true tight end one does. Pat Freiermuth, on the other hand, saw limited action, probably his lowest snap count of the season. Jonnu Smith is somewhere in between, but if we're being honest, Washington is starting to separate himself. Coach Tomlin even hinted that Washington's role will remain big this Thursday against the Bengals. It makes sense. Cincinnati's a 4-3 team with a physical front, and Darnell fits perfectly into that matchup. But here's the bigger question. Has he earned more than just a situational role? Because lately, he's proving he deserves it. Every snap, every block, every catch, he's showing the wow factor that's hard to ignore. He's not just filling space, he's changing the rhythm of the offense. And the same goes for the defense. Nick Herbig's been doing it too. When young guys like Washington and Herbig get their shot and make the most of it, it becomes harder and harder to take them off the field. Now sure, you can't just erase veterans like Freiermuth or Smith. Depth still matters. Different games call for different matchups. But sometimes football really is simple. If something's working, you stick with it. And right now, it's working. Washington STE1 just feels right. The offense flows better, the running game looks cleaner, and the passing lanes open up more. The sample size might be small, but it's enough to say this. Darnell Washington deserves the keys to that tight end room. Stay with me, because what's coming next could change how we see this entire Steelers offense moving forward.